So, hello, I'm Liz Mackenzie. I'm an early career research group leader in the Department of Pure and Applied Chemistry in Glasgow, in Scotland, in the UK. Avenue of science communication research actually kind of started by accident. It goes back a few years ago, around about 2017. I was listening to a lot of podcasts and I started making a list of science podcasts. And once this list got kind of big to like 100 podcasts or so, I started thinking, oh, maybe that's big enough to do some data analysis or some into this, And then I thought if I was going to do data analysis on science podcasts, I might as well do it properly. So a few years ago, I came up with an article that was analysing nearly 1,000 science podcasts. And so I wanted to take the methods of my science podcast study that I'd done previously and try to apply this to chemistry YouTube channels. With basically the aim was to try and find as many chemistry YouTube channels as possible and try and figure out what sort of content they're producing. Who's it for? Is it for the public? Is it for students? Is it for kids? Is it for professional chemists? For the methods that we used, well, I really need to attribute my team here. So it started off with an undergraduate student project of just a few weeks. And I had 4 students working in this. That's Katie, Osama, Emma, and Rona. They conducted an initial foray into looking into YouTube and how we could systemically search YouTube, because YouTube, has its own algorithms that are quite hard to search or maybe don't always return the same thing. And at that time, a few years ago, they discovered 50 chemistry YouTube channels, and I was very happy with that. But then the project went to another level when I had 2 summer placement students with me who were called Gabriella and Tristan. Gabriella and Tristan worked as a team, and they used their unique skills to come up with 2 different ways of searching YouTube for chemistry channels. So the first and maybe most straightforward way was Gabriella found some chemistry YouTube channels and then just followed every link she could on YouTube that was recommended to find other channels. So the related channels or channels by the same creator. And that led her through the web of YouTube, and she was able to compile a list of many different channels, which we call manually identified. And then Tristan, who had a background in computer science, decided to write a program that would identify, in a bunch of keywords, it would identify channels that match those keywords. So I think Tristan identified over 4,000 possible channels. Between them, they managed to narrow this down to roughly 1,600 valid chemistry YouTube channels. Just last thing to say about the methods, which is a key limitation. This was only looking at English language YouTube channels. Regarding key results, as I said, we were looking for English language channels, but actually we found some interesting insights into what countries are producing these chemistry YouTube videos. The USA was very well represented, also the UK, Canada and Australia, not surprising, but actually one of the most represented countries was India, which is a country that has a very strong science culture and education culture. And this coincides with the fact that many of the channels we're finding were geared towards education. For example, helping students revise for their high school or university exams. Those were an extremely high proportion of the channels that we found, nearly like 70%. Although we also found a lot of other channels doing things like experiment demonstrations or chemistry at home, those sort of things as well. With regards to the potential target audiences, the biggest audience was students again. So, as I said, people revising their exams or trying to understand concepts. The other sort of target audiences were unclear, 17%, general public 8%, and so on. So that really paints a picture that YouTube is being used as an educational resource to supplement people's teachers or textbooks. And this also links up with some of our other key results that, looking at the background of people who were making these YouTube channels. And for the large amount of channels, more than half of them, it's unclear what the person's background is. They're just making a YouTube channel and they're putting it up there. But for maybe 1/3 of these channels, it was very clearly someone who's an educator, a teacher or a lecturer, someone like this, as well as an official organization or institution. They're also very well represented. So this was the first large-scale study or overview of a specific science subject on YouTube, and it's available to read in Royal Society Open Science, open access, free of charge to read.